Kia ora, ko tarakia tōku maunga, ko moitangi tōku awa, ko mātiatia tōku marae, ko tūmoana tōku whare, ko tinana tōku waka, ko te rarawa tōku iwi, ko te tau maui tōku hapu, ko Atama Paparangi tōku rangatira, ko Barbara tōku mama, ko John tōku papa, ko Curtis tōku tāne, ko Aidan, Shelby, Sunny o ku tamariki, ko Nikki Bursich, tōku ingoa, ko Poroti aho. Kia ora, my name is Nikki Bursich, and tonight I will be presenting my Konae 5B. So tau kumekume is the positive and negative tension that is ever present in every relationship and situation. The obligations of social workers is to support the shift of negative energy into positive energy. So the tension, whether it's positive or negative, will always offer insight and some interpretation, and it enables individuals or parties to learn and grow. Within and in relation to the Konae, another word that I found is very important in the role of a social worker and where tau kumekume comes into play is ata. Ata is a traditional Māori value and cultural practice, and it means to proceed slowly and with thoughtful deliberation. As a skill for interpersonal relationships, ata signals the person to proceed with some care and some consideration. So, for example, ata kōrero means to think carefully before you speak. Ata haere is to be intentional and deliberate and to approach things reflectively and to move with respect and integrity. And it signals the act of moving with an awareness of relationships and what their significance and requirements are. And ata whakarongo is to listen with the same reflective deliberation. And in social work, it's really important when you're with tangata to listen, to allow them to be heard and tell their stories in their own words. And it's your job as a role as a social worker to take that on board and to listen wholeheartedly to everything they have to say. One thing I found in my work within the social services industry and also in community services is that it seems to be the most vulnerable and the people who are most in need of help and assistance that feel like they're not seen and they're not heard. And often in organizations, especially larger organizations, people can often get lost in the system. And if they don't know how to navigate that system, they could be lost in the system for good and not get the help and assistance that they do need. The example of tau kumekume that I've used for my Konae essay and that I'm presenting on here tonight is in relation to my employment with a large New Zealand organisation. And I've been with this organisation for some months now and have already seen the lack of consideration for our multicultural values. When I started with this particular organisation, I was told about a Māori program that had been rolled out within the last 12 months, and I put in my expression of interest as it was a Māori-based program. So essentially, I deal only with Māori clients, and my role is to try and regain the trust that has been broken between Māori and this particular organisation, which is an agent of the Crown. So after many decades, many of our Māori clients have been lost in this particular system, and it's my role to find them again and help them navigate the system so they're actually aware of what they are entitled to and how to go about getting what they are entitled to. And I was very excited at the prospect of working with Only Māori, especially in Northland in the far north, which is where I'm from. And it's the reason I started the Bicultural Social Services course, because I wanted to work with Māori and I wanted to help Māori, especially in our rural communities who were struggling to navigate certain systems and organisations. That's why I did the course, because that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I hoped that my current role would be able to take me on that path of helping our people. So in the months that I've been with this organisation, my other teammates have slowly transferred their Māori clients over to me. And it's been my job to engage with them and try and bring them back on board so that they are receiving entitlements. The one thing that has stood out in particular for me is almost every single one of the Māori clients that I have taken on so far, which is over 20, the majority of those Māori clients have a risk indicator against their name on their claim. Now, a risk indicator for many organisations essentially means that the person is a risk. An indicator can be activated in any government or Crown system, and essentially means that the person has made a threat of violence or been verbally abusive at some point to a staff member. It could also be that they have at some time in their lives had a criminal conviction. Now, it doesn't matter how long ago this conviction was. It does not matter if that conviction was for a violent crime. They still have an indicator and are assessed as a at-risk client. What also stood out for me when these clients were being transferred to me was my teammates' descriptions of the clients when they transferred them. They were all at some point described to me as difficult, as aggressive, as non-engaging. And the one that really offended me was when those clients are described as entitled, which is a word that is used a lot when discussing Māori clients in this particular organisation. And I realised that this is how my predominantly Pākehā team sees Māori, sees all its Māori clients. Since I've taken on these clients, it's become clear to me that these people that I'm dealing with are none of the words that they have been described to me as by my teammates. Yes, they are Māori, and yes, they have a different view of health and well-being to the vision that this particular organisation would like them to have. And this causes te kumekume between Māori and with agents of the Crown, such as the organisation I work for. The program that that I'm a part of, it's only recently been put into place. It's only been 12 months. And the whole intention was for a Māori-led team of Māori to try and rebuild that trust. And through kōrero with these tangata and making the effort to go and see them for kanohi e te kanohi visits, I've been able to listen and learn the history behind their complicated relationships with the organisation I work for. And that te kumekume comes from years of Māori feeling like and being left out in the cold. They're essentially handed a pile of papers and said, go home, read this, sign off on this, and scan it and email it back, which just doesn't work for many Māori, especially Māori in rural areas where things like Wi-Fi, having a printer, access to printers and things like that is difficult, and they're not given any assistance with these sorts of processes. It has taken some time and a lot of effort and a lot of kōrero to gain the trust of my clients. But I've found by taking that bit of extra time just to sit and kōrero, the walls are slowly coming down. It has been very shocking and upsetting how many of those clients have said to me, oh, I didn't know, or we didn't know. We weren't aware that we were entitled to that. Or, oh, we tried to talk and someone said they would call us back and we've heard nothing. And they've fallen through the cracks. So often it's our Māori people that are not receiving what they're entitled to, or often they won't push for those entitlements because they have felt disrespected, or they have felt judged, or they have felt looked down upon by the staff members or their case managers within this organisation. Going into a space like this one and dealing with the historical anger and the mistrust, it's been difficult, but fortunately the skills that I've learnt in the bicultural social services course through Te Wānanga or Aotearoa have given me the skills I feel and the knowledge that I've needed to build those foundations, build new relationships, and can now work on rebuilding that trust with myself and my clients. I think they've definitely appreciated me taking the time to go and see them and having that kanohi e te kanohi interaction, which is important to Māori. Acknowledging their raruraru, hearing what they've had to say and working in a partnership with them, not telling them what they should do and what they have to do, but working in partnership to come up with a recovery plan that suits them. And this has been really successful in re-engaging clients who have been non-engaged for sometimes months, years even. And being able to let them make the decisions that surround their support needs and giving them options, but then also giving them that time to go away to discuss their options with whānau and make the choices that they need to without feeling that pressure to and being forced to make decisions that they may not be ready to make. And by doing that, they're more confident in the choices that they are making for themselves and their whānau. I believe that in cases like this, especially when working with the Crown, having Māori, supporting Māori, it's imperative. And after a catastrophic injury, the principles that would normally come into play for Māori don't when they're being supported by an organisation that's modelled under European health standards. And it's during times like this that Māori need someone who are going to understand the importance of whenua, whānau, kaitiakitanga, the things that are important to us, the te ao Māori principles that are important to us. They need someone who's going to understand them and be willing to take this journey with them in a kaupapa Māori framework. And at this stage, these Māori cultural practices are not recognised, despite many things saying that they are, and that organisations and Crown agents are working towards these things, and the words are great, but unfortunately, as someone who's on the front line, on the front line, it's not happening. I'm going to read what is the foundation of the kaupapa Māori solution for the organisation I work for. We understand that to do better for Māori, we need to do things differently. We will partner with Māori to give effect to Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the Treaty of Waitangi, and commit to achieving equitable wellbeing outcomes for Māori. We want to ensure whānau have options in the care and initiatives being available to them. We recognise that localised approaches to service design and delivery are best placed to meet the specific needs of haukainga and empower them to participate fully in their hauora, and oranga. Now, those are the foundations of the organisation that I work for, Kaupapa Māori Solutions. And in theory, it looks fantastic, and it's what we need to be working towards. My concern and my tau kumekume with the organisation that I work for is that all it will amount to is a theory and a program to distract from the fact that they're not following the principles. So hopefully it will amount to more than a theory. And the tau kumekume between Māori and Crown agents, their relationships that are and will continue to have issues until there is some real change. And I feel it's up to the people like myself, my classmates, the people who study the bicultural services certificate and want to be involved in social work and help our people. It's up to us to work as a collective, to pull our skills, our knowledge, our expertise, and push for these changes, and push those theories into actions. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Ka kite anō.